Hello guys, I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a WhatsApp voice note that I received. Then I had to ask one of our admins to give us a translation. So this is the translation of that WhatsApp voice note that I received. The message reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? My brother, I want to confess that the reason why I am so powerful like this when it comes to prophesying, it is because I went and I got some charms from several traditional healers. I didn't go to a single traditional healer. The reason why I became a prophet, it was because I saw that indeed it was really profitable. When I started, I used to worship at this other white garment church. Then I saw that for me to become powerful, I needed to go and visit some traditional healers so that I can be more powerful. So I went. When I went to get those powers, I was really a young man. At that time, I was only 19 years of age. That is the first time that I ever visited a traditional healer. When I went to that traditional healer, it was me, my friend, and my brother-in-law. We were three when we went there to seek out some powers. When we went there, we were told to go by the river, and there were some rituals that were performed on us. We were made to bath, while least we were standing in the middle of a flowing river. After we had been washed clean, that is when we were given some walking sticks. We were told that we were supposed to carry those walking sticks wherever we would go, so that we can be powerful. But what happened to my brother-in-law and my friend is that whilst we were coming back from that traditional healer's place, then my brother-in-law, he forgot his walking stick in the bus. Then my friend as well, he also lost his walking stick. So it was only me who returned back from that trip when we had gone to get our powers from that traditional healer. We still had the charms and the walking stick. When we arrived home, we sat down. It was me, my brother-in-law, and my friend. Then they agreed that they were going to become my first disciples. As we are speaking right now, I don't know how many disciples that I have. I have so many disciples across Southern Africa. So this walking stick of mine, it does transform itself and it becomes like a snake. I call it the Moses walking stick because of the way that it transforms and it becomes a walking stick. The house that me and my wife and my kids are living in, it was donated to us by this other family. What happened is that we went to their house and they were having real troubles, but some of the troubles that they were facing, they were not spiritual in nature, but as someone who was in it for the money. When I arrived at that man's place and I saw that this man indeed, he seemed to be wealthy, I then decided to use some of my charms so that they can give me more money. I told them that they were being bewitched by some of their neighbors, but because I didn't want him to fight with his neighbors and his relatives, therefore I was not going to tell him who was bewitching him, who was being responsible for the bad luck that he was facing in his business. This man, he was not just a regular man. He had several trucks that were doing cross-border routes. He even said that he wanted to have a bus that was going to do a cross-border route. But when I looked at his business, I saw that it was just a mismanagement of the business that was happening. There was nothing spiritual. No one was bewitching this man, but I took advantage of him. And before he passed away, that is when he donated a house that me and my wife, we are currently staying in just before he died. The reason why he donated that house to me, he said that indeed I was the biggest prophet in Africa because I had shown him the people who were bewitching him, and he was really grateful. So before he died, he told me that he was going to give me one of his properties. and it is a really beautiful house here in Harare. So what I did to that family is that I spoke with my brother-in-law and my friend, who were my first disciples, on what we were supposed to do. We went first, and I told him that I was supposed to go back so that I can pray and see how I can defeat those witches that were bewitching him. But I told him that indeed at his house there was a snake that was inside his house. After I had finished praying for that family, I told them that they were not supposed to walk us out of the house when we were about to leave. I told him that because I wanted to make some prayers, and I was afraid that if I was going to pray, whilst they would be standing with me, they would see some things that they were not supposed to see, and then they will die. The reason why I didn't want them to escort me out of their yard, it was because I wanted to perform some rituals. The ritual that I did was me, my brother-in-law, and my friend. After we had gotten out of the house, we started to pray, and we prayed loudly. As we were praying, that is when I instructed my walking stick to transform itself into a snake, and I told it not to worry, for tomorrow I was going to come back and to collect it. And I gave it some instructions that when I was going to come back and to catch it, it was supposed to fight with me first before it could submit. So my walking stick that I was holding, it then transformed itself. Then it went into the nearby flowers so as to hide itself. The following day, when the evening came, I came to that man's house. Then I spoke with him, and I told him that today he was going to witness a very big miracle. So we started to pray, and after we had prayed, I told him that I wanted some millimil. So here in our country, there is the millimil that you can buy in the shops. Then there is this traditional millimil, that is the millimil that I was asking him to get for me. So he told me that they didn't have that millimil in the house, but he said that he was going to go to his gardener to find out if he had any. When he went there, he was given that traditional millimil. It was in a 9-liter bucket. I told him to hold that 9-liter bucket, and I asked him to go with me into the toilet so that he can check my body if I was hiding anything. This trick is done so as to convince that person that you'll be praying for, because when they check your body and if they see that there is nothing that you'll be hiding in your pocket or on your body, by the time that you will catch the snake, then they will believe that indeed you have performed a miracle. So it was me, that old man, and his sons. We went to the toilet. Then I stripped myself naked, and they saw that indeed there was nothing that I had on me. After that, I told him to carry that 9-liter bucket that was full of traditional millimil. We started to walk room by room as I was telling him what to do. We walked throughout the house as we were sprinkling the millimil all over the place, on the couches, on the TV, in the bedroom, underneath the bed and everything. I was just trying to convince them. After that, I told them that the spirit was telling me that the snake that was being sent by the witches, it was somewhere outside. So we went outside. When we went outside, that man's wife is the one who saw the snake. It was outside of the veranda. When she saw the snake, she screamed and everyone ran out of the house. We all saw the snake. It was really big, but I had given the snake some instructions on what to do. I was not supposed to catch it very easy. It was supposed to pretend as if it was fighting with me. Then later on, it was going to submit to me. So that snake disappeared. After the snake had disappeared, I called everyone and I told them that now the situation was going to be very dangerous. So they had to keep all of the kids safe. No one was supposed to follow me. Only the men that were present were the ones who were supposed to follow me inside, because I told them that in the spirit I could see that the snake was now indoors. So me, that old man, and my disciples and his sons, we all went inside as we were looking for that snake, but I knew exactly where that snake had gone to. I had given some instructions to that snake that it was supposed to go and hide itself in the wardrobe in that man's bedroom. So we looked all over the place until I told them that I could feel that the snake was in the bedroom. We all went to the bedroom, and when we were in the bedroom, that is when I performed the miracle. I told that man not to be afraid. I told him to walk slowly towards the wardrobe. When he was standing in front of the wardrobe, I started to pray as I was shouting. Then I told him to slowly open the doors. When he opened the door, that old man jumped so high that he nearly hit the ceiling. What he had seen inside his wardrobe, it was really scary. It was my snake that he had seen. So I approached the wardrobe as if I was fighting with the snake, and the snake responded as if it was fighting with me. But in the spirit, we knew what we were doing. I then started to sprinkle some millimil on that snake. Then it started to submit itself before me. But before it could submit before me, when I had touched its tail, then it bit me and I fell down and I pretended as if I was about to die. Then my disciples, they started to pray for me. They prayed so hard and they told everyone to pray. The reason why we were doing this, it is because we wanted more money from this rich family. They prayed, I don't know for how many minutes, because at that time I was more like in a spiritual coma. I could not sense what was going on in the world of the living. After that, I returned back in my body. Then I rose up sort of from the dead and everyone was really amazed. Then I started to handle the snake. After that, I took out one of the long knives, the one that is called machete, that we used to go around with. Then I started to dismember that snake into several pieces. Then I told them to follow me outside. When we were outside, I gave them an instruction to remain quiet, and I told them that the witches were already standing at the gate and they were crying for their snake. So they were not supposed to make any noise as we were busy burning that snake, because if they were going to make any noise, then the witches were going to try to attack me. And now that the snake had bitten me, I was now feeling its poison all over my body. So I could not even risk to have any confrontation with any other witch on this night before I had returned back to my praying quarters. So they remained silent as I was busy burning that snake. After I had burnt that snake, I gave that man a couple of ideas, knowing that the ideas that I had given him were going to assist him in his business, because I had noticed that he had a very kind heart. And what he used to do is that in his business, he used to involve a lot of his relatives. So his relatives, his drivers, they were all stealing from him. So that is why his businesses were going down. When that man was about to die, he called me. That is when he told me that he had chosen to give me one of his properties. Dear listeners, right there was a WhatsApp voice note that was sent to me. Then I had to ask one of our admins to give us a translation. Strange things do happen in this world.